You all know the NASCAR playoffs, right? 16 drivers, gimmicky. How can we make it even more gimmicky? By applying a bracket style elimination format where it goes from 16, 8, and 2, where drivers get matched up with each other and have 3 races to try and beat the other driver. How can this go wrong? Well, we're going to find out. I decided to do my own research for 3 hours to find out who would be the new champion with this dumbass format that me and Daytona created out of nowhere. Here's the rules. 16 drivers, bracket style 16, 8, 4, and 2. And it's whoever of the 2 drivers that are inside each bracket. Whoever finishes higher than the other will get 1 point, best of 3. Something like this. So imagine if Ty Dillon faced William Byron somehow in the playoffs. Well, Byron would win this because he beat him at Vegas, barely. He beat him at, Ty Dillon beat him at Dega, and Byron beat him at Martinsville. Byron won 2 races out of the 3, which means he is going to advance to the next round. And that's basically how these playoffs work. Yeah, I know it's very stupid, but it's meant to be stupid. So, hopefully this isn't too complicated for you to understand, but yeah, this is the format. Let's start off with the first matchup, Kyle Larson versus Alex Bowman, 2 Hendrick teammates. Well, Larson sweeps him. An easy finish at Darlington, another good finish out Gateway gets him in. However, Alex Bowman did beat him at Worldwide Technology, Bristol. Apologies for that. Yeah, Kyle Larson would sweep Bowman anyways. Now moving on to the next 2 drivers, Bubba Wallace and Chase Briscoe. Now, Chase Briscoe was in the Final 4, so he should go far. And yeah, he sweeps Bubba Wallace pretty easily actually. Wins Darlington, 2nd at Gateway, and 9th at Bristol. He sweeps Bubba Wallace. Even if it didn't go to 3 races, he'd still win all 3 of them. Next is 4th seeded Ryan Blaney against 13th seeded Josh Berry. I think you know how this went. So basically, Blaney swept him by a pretty good amount. Josh Berry finished last and DNF'd every single race, which means it was basically a walk in the park for 4th seeded Blaney. Coughing Baby versus Hydrogen Bomb. Anyways, the next 2 drivers, Denny Hamlin and Tyler Reddick. Denny Hamlin made the Final 4, and yeah, let's hope he can make it far. Let's start off with Darlington. Tyler Reddick almost beats out Chase Briscoe to get a 2nd. However, he does beat Denny Hamlin out. Then, Denny would actually win Gateway, which makes it a 1-1 series, and we're going to go to a race 3. Well, let's say an upset win happened. Yeah, so Tyler Reddick won against Denny Hamlin. Great format by Oda. Thank you. I'll just let this sit here. I think probably the best matchup of the first round, Christopher Bell versus Joey Logano. Let's see how this goes. And of course, Joey Logano won. Yeah, it was close, but Joey Logano barely beat him out. And yeah, so Joey Logano's already into the 2nd round, and Christopher Bell, who is 5th seeded, is already out. That's cool. Yeah, so this is a really interesting matchup. Shane Van Gisbergen versus Ross Chastain. It was actually pretty close. I mean, based off SVG, being a road course merchant, he actually stood up pretty well, but obviously the Oval Master Ross Chastain would sweep SVG. Now, Chase Elliott versus Austin Cindric. Man, oh man, does this bracket start getting shit. I'll just let this sit here. You can read it yourself. Well, on a better note, it's Hydrogen Bomb versus Coughing Baby again. William Byron would obviously sweep Austin Dillon. Yep, who would have thought? And that concludes round 1. We'll start us off at probably the best matchup of this round 2. Chase Briscoe versus Kyle Larson. They both made the championship and were really close. Let's see how this goes. This actually got really competitive, but Chase Briscoe meets an unfortunate end at Charlotte Roval. A good series, but a sad way to end off Chase Briscoe. This 2nd round is actually a good matchup. It was pretty close, but another upset winner for Tyler Reddick. Wow, he is going on a run for this format, if only. I mean, it was pretty close, but it's kind of crazy how Tyler Reddick beats all these drivers. Denny Hamlin and Ryan Blaney. This next matchup, I think, was the saddest of them all. Let's begin. New Hampshire. Joey Logano beats out Ross for a solid P4. He was good all weekend. Kansas. Ross beats out Joey Logano as he won the last 2024 summer race. And the Charlotte Roval is where things get interesting. Just like this year's actual playoffs, Ross Chastain was in trouble. Now, if he knew that I would make this video and NASCAR actually would have done this format, he wouldn't have done the move that he did on the last lap. But sadly, NASCAR knows its ways, and NASCAR had another format. So, on the last lap, Ross Chastain decided to do this and ruin his hopes of a championship in this format, and also ruin his chances at another championship in the actual format.
Incredible! Whoa! Oh, and around goes Ross Chastain! And Denny Hamlin, and Chastain wants to come across the line in reverse, just like I...
Not only did Ross Chastain just lose in my format, he also lost in the actual NASCAR format. God. He was this close from saving everyone from a Logano. Oh my god. Ah! Anyways, the next driver, Byron versus Cindric. Well, Byron swept him pretty easily. Pretty comfortably, actually. He stood no chance. So, at least we got a fair winner. Well, Kyle Larson versus Tyler Reddick, the first of the final four. It was actually really close for Tyler Reddick, causing another upset. After Larson ran out of fuel at Talladega, Tyler Reddick almost came back at Martinsville, but Kyle Larson prevailed, getting a solid P5, while Tyler Reddick gets a P11. A good run for Tyler Reddick, and Kyle Larson goes into the finale round. Could he get another championship in another format? Well, it's Joey Logano versus William Byron. Hopefully, William Byron can win this one because nobody wants to see Joey Logano prevail. I'm sorry, Joey Logano, if you're seeing this. Joey Logano versus Byron starts out at Vegas. Byron, the dominant car. Well, it looks like Ty Dillon forgot to tell someone that he was pitting. So, Byron rammed into the back of you-know-who, and he gets a 36th. Well, let's move on to Talladega. He actually has a chance of a win. He's in the lead pack. He's good. He could tie the series up. And he runs out of fuel, which means Joey Logano would sweep him. And Byron would end up winning at Martinsville anyways. So, yeah, this is brutal for Byron. I just don't believe. Anyways, Joey Logano is in the championship versus Kyle Larson in a head-to-head matchup. Let's go on to Phoenix. Well, Larson, in these final laps, is running behind Logano by just one position. He cannot catch up in 3 laps, unless Joey Logano has a tire blowout. Speaking of tire blowouts, lo and behold, William Byron, running P3, who got eliminated by Joey Logano, blows a tire, brings out the caution, and gives Kyle Larson a chance. Now, on that restart, all eyes were on Larson for one reason. Mainly because of the fact that he was running for the actual championship. So, here's how the restart went. Kyle Larson is in the pack, and Joey Logano is ahead of him. But nobody cares about Joey Logano right now. Everyone cares about Denny because, I mean, I don't care about Denny right now, but everybody cares about Larson, and Larson gets a huge run on the outside, passing Joey Logano and getting the lead of my championship, while also getting the lead of the actual championship. Well, all Larson has to do is hold off Joey Logano for one more lap, and Joey Logano is going side by side with him right now. And he has Penske teammates all around him. Brad Keselowski to the lead. Larson gets a good run off of turn 4, and Joey Logano has one more corner to win it at Phoenix and win my championship. Here he comes, dives down into the inside. Here he comes. They're side by side to the line, and Larson gets ahead of him barely. So we would have had a photo finish for a championship in this format. This is the wildest shit I've ever seen. Well, the championship wouldn't even change. So, Larson is still the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series champion. Yeah. And here's the full bracket. And here's the Phoenix analysis. So, it was a 0.033 seconds of that finish. That was the difference between the championship and no championship. This is why NASCAR should adapt this playoff system that is geniusly above any other format, including the Winston format. Listen, everybody should adopt this format, including F1 maybe even too, and IndyCar.